Hello everyone. Um Hi, it's Sky. Um yeah, I'm recording my face cuz I kind of want to just like do an unscripted video because I just came out of Barbie 3 hours ago. I also watched Oppenheimer today, which was very good, but I want to talk about Barbie because I have thoughts and I have things I want to say about Barbie and I just needed to get them out. Cuz here's the thing. It was a really good movie. It's just a well-made film. It's hilarious. The performances are great. I like the story. I actually cried 3 times because I'm a little baby, but because I also really care about like I don't want to spoil the film, but I really love stories that are about mothers and their children, parents and their children, and that attachment that one may have to their children and their relationship and exploring that, which the film does quite a lot. It's a big focus in a lot of areas. So I did cry at scenes related to that. It happens. And like the film has a very, very feminist message. The film is feminist. And I think it does it fantastically well. Except for the fact that the film is made by Mattel. The fact that, the company that made Barbie makes Barbie, manufactures, sells Barbie dolls. Because the thing is, if this film was made completely separate from Mattel, but it was the exact same, I would be saying, man, this is fantastic. This is a perfect point about consumerism, about the patriarchy, about misogyny, about body standards, about everything that Barbie has been criticized for, and the ending would fit really, really well. But as the ending was happening, which was a scene that I was really liking, it at the back of my head, I just couldn't get out that idea of like this is a film made by Mattel. They wanted to make this film, they marketed this film, they wanted to make this film to sell their brand. The entire point of making this film was to sell Barbie dolls. And like, I really like Greta Gerwig. I think Little Women's fantastic, and I think it actually has a really interesting commentary on asexuality and, you know, aside from the feminism conversation that the film has, that diverges a little bit from the book in a way that I think is really neat. And so I really want to love this film, and I genuinely had a fucking fantastic time, but I feel bad for liking this film because it was made by Mattel, because I know that the point of this film is kind of lost or like changed, because the end of the film sends across one specific idea of what it means, to be a woman, or to be human, to be a mother, to be all of these things. If you separate that from the fact that it was made by Mattel, then Mattel wanted to make this film. But if you remember that, you just think, oh, they just did this so they could sell Barbie as a brand that is more appealing to customers because of this new feminism angle that they're using, even though they won't use the word feminism, and they think that like Mattel has said this is not a feminist film, just baffling the film. It's definitely a feminist film. But regardless, it's just so hard for me to enjoy this film because I really do. But then I'm thinking like this film, like there's a cynicism behind it that I can't get past. There's this kind of love-hate relationship, this very paradoxical relationship I have with this film, because it is a fun film. It is a film about feminism in a way that I really like, and I really enjoyed seeing criticisms of the patriarchy and how it affects everyone, not just women, but obviously mostly women, being pushed down by the patriarchy. But it's all done to sell this message by the end of the film that, oh, this is what Barbie is. She represents everyone, an everyday person, who's living life and having a hard time and trying to live in a world that is part of this patriarchy. There's a very interesting video by Verily Beachy, which I have mentioned before in this channel, about Barbie and the plastic feminism is what they call it. And that I really like that video. It's not, I don't agree 100% with it, because I don't think the film is like as cynical as Verily Beachy says. But I do agree with a lot of the points about the plastic feminism, because this is what this film feels like, it's this very like rainbow capitalism type of thing, where it is a film focusing on the evils of capitalism and patriarchy and criticizing it, but it's made by Mattel as a way to sell their brand. You know how like Matrix 4 the only reason it exists is because Warner wanted to make a new film, and the Wachowski sisters did not want to make it, but they said, we're gonna make it without you anyway. So I'm pretty sure Lena was the only one who came back. She was like, okay, we'll do it just so you don't make it without us. And in the film, there's the line saying, Warner Brothers, our parent company, Warner Brothers, wants a new sequel and everything. Like, the villain of that film is Warner Brothers.
I'm sure you can understand why our beloved parent company, Warner Brothers, has decided to make a sequel to the trilogy.
And this film is kind of the same with Mattel, but they don't fully commit to Mattel being the villain because they can't be the villain. You can't make Barbie the bad guy. You can't make Mattel the bad guy, because if you do that, the film's ruined. In a way where I feel like if the film had a more cynical, skeptic, dark ending, where there's just like not really any solution to just like get rid of the patriarchy. Not that they get rid of the patriarchy in the real world in the film, but like if it didn't have a happy ending, I feel like it would have just been such a better film, because it would have felt more real and more true to the message that I feel like Greta Gerwig is sending. And that's the thing, I don't think this is a cynical film by any measure, because I can feel the passion and the ideas that Greta Gerwig wanted to come across through the film. But it is made by Mattel. It's a kind of thing where, like, Free Guy, I was talking about this earlier with a friend of mine, but there's like the trilogy of films that I could think of that feel this same sense of like capitalism kind of ruining it. So you have Free Guy, Air, and Barbie. Free Guy being a film that I didn't know was made by Disney. So while I was watching it, I was like, man, this is a really fun film. And the moment Guy takes out the Captain America shield, I was like, this is hilarious. I lost my shit because I was not expecting it, because it's not a Disney film. But once I knew it was a Disney film after the fact, I was kind of like, oh, that kind of ruins it, because it kind of takes away like, why they did this. It's not just like, oh, they're making fun of Fortnite. They're just doing it because of brand integration, because it's Disney. And even though I still think, Free Guy is fun, I don't think it's good. Okay, to get that out of the way, I don't think Free Guy is a good film. I just like it. It's fun. I don't think I would get the same enjoyment out of rewatching it, because now I know, now there's that cynicism behind it of knowing it was a Disney film that is still doing a lot of product integration to sell their other products, which is just not something that I enjoy, and something that feels very much against the idea of the film, because the film is criticizing that, but it actually is using it in a way that, isn't good. It's like you're criticizing the thing you're doing. Like how She-Hulk has the self-aware, like, fourth wall break jokes of being like, oh, you love cameos, huh? But this isn't a cameo every episode type of show, but they do cameos basically every episode, and that's why people watch it for the other characters, like Daredevil showing up, and not really because of She-Hulk. So it's doing the thing it's criticizing, that's saying it's bad. It's not really self-awareness by that point. It's just like trying to get ahead of the audience's criticisms, which is not exactly what I think Barbie is doing, because I think Barney does self-awareness right, but it's hard to do that when you are made by Mattel. We got to ride that line of like actually making a thoughtful film about feminism while still not really committing to it, because you have to appease, the corporate overlords, Mattel, the company that's sponsoring this film, that's telling you to make it, that's producing it, that's allowing you to use its brand. That's who you have to please. It's and the other film I mentioned was Air, which is a film that I think is good. Like, it's, a well-made film, but it just felt like super like, the American fantasy of like this capitalistic, like, oh yeah, pulling yourself by up by your bootstraps, gambling everything and winning, so that, you take a big risk and you win, even though, the film doesn't really acknowledge not only the terrible things Nike does, except for one line that basically dismisses it. Like, yeah, the exploitation of workers, I think it was in Vietnam, is what they mention. But beyond that, just like the main character of the film that's played by Matt Damon, he's just like gambling hundreds of people's jobs on this one thing with Michael Jordan. You're just thinking like, I know the film mentions that, what he's doing is very risky and that he could fuck over a lot of people if he loses, but it's never taken seriously. It's just a thing of like paying lip service to it. Lamp shading is basically what it is. because it feels like they have to sell Nike as well as a like a good company, as in like, man, he really did it, persevered against all odds. Because like in trying to make it as an underdog story, making like the Nike CEO to be a good guy, even though he's not the Nike CEO. There aren't really any good CEOs, especially for fucking Nike. Like billionaires are not good people. Not gonna lie, there's not a single good billionaire, but besides the point. So the film kind of falls flat because I'm just like, you're selling the story of like Nike being an underdog, even though they're a multi-billion-dollar company. The way they make them be an underdog is being, the third biggest um, shoe company in the world, like behind like Adidas and whatever else was there. So I'm just like, oh, such an underdog story. And it's, the same for Barbie in the sense of like, oh, they make Barbie the victim in this film, even though she isn't the victim because she's a toy. She's a product that is made by Mattel to sell an ideal version of what you should be as a woman, of what you can be. Selling that idea. She's a product. So that's why I think like if this one wasn't made by Mattel, the point of like a Barbie thinking I don't want to be a product, I want to be myself would work really well. Because this woman thinking that she doesn't want to be commodified and live for the patriarchy, for the male gaze and everything relating to that. But because it is made by Mattel, it's just Mattel trying to humanize Barbie as, you know, as a product, so that you don't think about Barbie as for what it represents in terms of any patriarchal values, in terms of anything in that sense. They sell Barbie for what she represents, for feminism, for, women being able to be themselves, for not being afraid to be themselves, that she doesn't represent those values that she always did since like the 50s when she was introduced, even though she still does. you know like she is a product. You can humanize a product so that she seems more sympathetic, I guess, for people to want to buy her, because she is a product, she's a toy. So it just feels super cynical because it was made by Mattel. But if it wasn't, it would be a really fantastic feminist piece of media, especially if you change it a little bit so Mattel was a bit more of a villain in the film. Maybe went a little bit more out like Lena Wachowski did in Matrix 4, where Warner Bros was for real the complete, like, definite villain of that film. But regardless, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to feel because I like the film. I enjoy it. I love the performances. I love the story. It was fucking hilarious. I enjoy that it is a criticism on the patriarchy, because even though it is a cynical capitalist product, it is still good to see, criticisms, critiques of the patriarchy, of, the capitalist systems that we uphold. However, it is still a product of that capitalist system that is being used to uphold it. You know, it, it's like fucking like 1,000 layers of just like using left wing politics to conserve the current politics. Like you're using leftism to be conservative, which is just wild to me. Like, how can you use those ideas to do that? But it makes sense how they do it, and it's really annoying and cynical. But it is a good film, and I enjoy it, so I don't really know how to feel. It's especially bad because this film was made by Warner Bros. As well as Mattel, so, it adds another layer of, like, cynicism of a big company wanting to profit of a big IP and everything, and, the messaging behind it. Because Warner is awful. Like I mentioned, Warner's the villain of Matrix 4, so I don't really know. Well, my conclusion is, I guess, like, this isn't a piece of, like, feminist media in a sense. Because, like, it is feminist, it is a feminist movie, but it's, like, very basic feminism. In a sense that I don't think, like, hurts the film, because I don't think it's, like, a sophisticated, commentary on every, like, patriarchy and, feminism. It is, like, baby's first feminism, but in a way that works for the film. I just don't think the film should be upheld as some kind of like, whoa, feminist revolution, super like feminist auteur media, when it's not that. It's a very It's a film that doesn't take itself seriously enough to go in depth on feminism. It's not like a type of film that is about that, about the injustices that women face on like a more serious systemic level in the real world, because it is still a Barbie film. A lot of it takes part in Barbie land, and it's really fun and really interesting, all that part of it, but it isn't really like a good setting to make the perfect film for that. So yeah, it's like I don't know if I can like endorse it, I can recommend it, because like there's this like dark cloud that hurts me from enjoying this film fully, or to even say that it's a good film or a film that deserves the praise it's getting, it deserves the money it's getting, because it has that aspect of being a capitalist product, a product that is exploiting people by selling political views that they want in a more digestible way, in a way that's more palatable to larger audiences, not alienating everyone who doesn't fully agree with all the patriarchy and feminism stuff that the film wants to tell. And it's just appealing to that, to sell the film itself, which is like breaking records, is making a lot of money, it's wild, and sell a product, which is Barbie. And like by the end of the film, in your brain, if you're watching it and you can separate the film. Just think about this film, two versions. Imagine this film was not made by Mattel, because I genuinely think you're gonna really enjoy everything about it. But if you remember it is, you're just gonna, a sudden wave of cynicism comes through you, just being like, this doesn't feel like a genuine message, a genuine film, a genuine story. It feels like pandering, like you're trying to sell me a product, you're trying to sell me a new version, a new marketable idea for Barbie, but not really trying to sell me, anything that is true or genuine. It's being capitalist. It's completely the idea of rainbow capitalism, which is why I find it very funny that like people like Ben Shapiro would just like, oh man, this film hates men. It's like it definitely doesn't. It hates the patriarchy, definitely. But I don't think the film, I think Greta, sure, you can say like she has her views on the patriarchy and she's putting them across, but I think the film has just such a cynical view that I feel like it's just Mattel selling a product to their audience, much like during Pride, the companies will just appeal to LGBTQIA plus folks just to sell them stuff, because it's profitable, not because they actually care. And there's been a lot of evidence to show that these companies don't actually care. It's pure rainbow capitalism. But it also is a well-made film that if you can separate the capitalist side of it from the genuine feminist ideals that Greta wants to put across, is actually a really well-made film and an interesting commentary, even if not, the deepest commentary on the patriarchy and feminism. I did repeat myself a lot in this video, I'm aware of that, but I've not scripted it, so who cares? Anyway, my conclusion is, I have no conclusion. I don't know how to feel about this film. I, 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 I don't know. But yeah, I guess thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, subscribe. I have a video coming out soon, probably, hopefully. Subscribe to my podcast, Stay Come, where we cover a bunch of topics. I'm most currently watching Flash with Mad Advocate. We're almost done with season 9, so that's fun. Also, my Quantumania video will be out when it's out. I can't really promise any dates. I'm working on it, okay? It's a bad film. It takes a while, okay? Sue me. Also, I do plan on making like these more unscripted videos. I'm not sure if I want to post them here or on my second channel, so let me know in the comments which you think is best, if this feels like cluttering my channel with other stuff. But I do like talking about a variety of topics, and I don't always have time to script out an entire video and edit it to put out just about a single topic that I'm thinking of. Sometimes I just want to record a video for 10 minutes in front of my webcam and post it, which feels like second channel content. But if you guys feel like you'd like seeing that on my main channel, then by all means. Plus, this channel is monetized now, so like if I can make money off these new types of videos, why not? But yeah, that's it, I guess. Watch Oppenheimer. That's the conclusion for this video. Yeah, Oppenheimer. I said Woppenheimer. This isn't a fucking Burger King burger. It's a film. Oppenheimer. Go watch it.